Welcome to HFY Tube original sci-fi stories. The girl was brought in on a stretcher that reeked of scorched earth and human blood. She wasn't breathing. No heartbeat. No resistance. To the Irellan research team, it was a perfect subject. The lead xenobiologist, Dr. Vale, examined the shattered remains of the Terran female's chest cavity. Her ribcage had collapsed inward. One lung was gone. Half her spine showed signs of fusion burns. The blood was thick with nanite shrapnel. Her pupils were blown wide. "This human is dead," Vale declared. The others relaxed. That was a relief. The last live human they'd attempted to study had killed 7 scientists and dismembered a security bot using only a chair leg. This one, at least, wouldn't wake up. They brought her into the dissection lab. Cold, polished, sterile. Her body was placed in Biocradle 12. She had no dog tags, no military implants, just a shredded utility suit, a shattered left femur and blood under her fingernails, not hers. The team didn't ask how she'd ended up on the battlefield, half buried under rubble. Didn't wonder how her neural pathways still showed trace activity, because humans were unpredictable. And to the Irellan, that unpredictability was both fascinating and terrifying. Dr. Vale's scalpel hovered over her chest. He initiated the dermal splitter. A field of light shimmered across her body. Then twitch. Only the index finger. A tiny, involuntary pulse. One of the assistants gasped. Vale scoffed. Residual nerve discharge. Still, he ordered mild sedation waves, just in case. The biomonitors flared briefly, then steadied. They began the first cut. 2 centimeters into the flesh, the scanner buzzed red. "Foreign objects detected." They paused, checked, rechecked. Dozens of fragments, metallic, glass-like, and something unreadable, were embedded in her abdomen, forming complex spiral patterns around her organs. It wasn't shrapnel, it was growing, self-assembling, and it was interfacing with her nervous system. "Impossible," one assistant whispered. "She's rebuilding." No one spoke after that, because her skin had begun to shift color. Dr. Vale increased sedation, boosted the containment field, ordered scanners to isolate the unknown tech, and for the first time in his long research career, he locked the lab from the inside. He didn't want this one getting out. Back on the surface where she had been found, there was a report, brief and censored, of a black site destroyed 2 weeks prior. No survivors, no data recovered, just a crater and atmospheric anomalies. Human sources claimed nothing, but one satellite feed, never confirmed, had shown a single figure walking away from the blast zone, alone, dragging something behind her. Inside the lab, the containment systems began to hum, not louder, but deeper. The girl's body arched slightly, then her fingers curled into fists. "She's in rigor," Vale said too quickly, but her eyes opened. No twitch, no flutter, just open, glowing faint gold, and they locked onto him. The biomonitors screamed. Every console surged. The sedation field crashed. Vale tried to issue a shutdown. The assistant tried to call security. Too late, because the girl sat up. No scream, no confusion, just breath. The first breath she had taken in hours. And it fogged the glass in front of her like frost. The assistant backed away. "Doctor, she's awake." Vale didn't move, because her eyes weren't normal. They weren't angry. They weren't scared. They were calculating. And he finally realized she had never been unconscious. The lab's power flickered. The containment doors stayed shut, but Vale stepped backward anyway. Because deep in his gut, something ancient and primal screamed at him. "You brought a predator into a cage, and now it remembers how to hunt." 3 things happened in the next 60 seconds. 1. The assistant triggered a silent alert to central containment. 2. Vale activated every internal stasis protocol. 3. The girl stood up. She moved like someone who'd done this before, like waking up in an alien lab wasn't a surprise, just an interruption. Her body still bore the scars of battlefield trauma, broken bone alignment, collapsed lungs, severed nerve endings, and yet she stood tall, balanced, controlled, not just alive, upgraded. The fragments in her body pulsed with synchronized energy, matching the flickering station lights. Vale whispered, "Adaptive grafts, but what kind?" None of their scans recognized the material. It wasn't Terran tech. It wasn't Irellan. It was hers. Security arrived outside the lab, 2 guards. They saw her through the reinforced glass, and one of them laughed. "She's barely clothed." Then the lights died, all of them. Inside, Vale stepped back fast, but not fast enough. The glass cracked. Not shattered, cracked from her breath. She exhaled once, and fractures spidered out across 4 inches of Irellan-reinforced composite glass. No scream, no effort, just breath. Outside, the guards reached for weapons, then dropped them, literally, because the metal warped. In their hands, guns bent like clay, armor locks disengaged. The hallway's gravity twisted for 1.2 seconds, barely perceptible, but enough to confuse training. The girl hadn't left the lab yet, but the station was already reacting to her. Inside, the stasis field rebooted, surged, engaged, a perfect amber dome of magnetic containment which shattered the moment she looked at it. No contact, no gesture, just a glance. The field collapsed in on itself like crumpled paper. She walked forward, calmly. The lab door hissed, resisted, then flung open, not from her, but from the station's own systems. Somewhere buried in the core AI, thousands of subroutines rewrote themselves. Because the station didn't recognize her as an intruder anymore. It recognized her as authority. The guards aimed again, but by then, she was between them. There was no fight, one scream, one thud, then silence. She didn't kill them, she didn't even knock them out. She just disabled them, perfect nerve strikes, clean, learned behavior, military grade. Only Earth had combatants that precise. And even they feared the ones trained for blacksite evasion. Vale tried to escape, ran down corridor 12 toward evac shuttle decks. Didn't make it 10 meters. She appeared in front of him, not ran, appeared. And that's when he saw it. Her pupils had rings now. 3 concentric halos of gold spinning slowly like gears locked to time. She leaned close. "How many others?" What do you mean?" "Other Terrans." "Where are they?" I don't, this facility, just you." Lying. Her voice wasn't raised, it just ended negotiation. Alarms blared, fire suppression engaged, entire lab sealed shut, airlocked. None of it worked. Every system tried to counter her. Everyone failed. She wasn't overriding them. She was part of them, integrated, like she'd been built alongside the protocols, or worse, before them. She found the primary lab server on Deck 3, accessed it with a single palm, no code, no bypass, just touch. Every terminal went black, then glowed faint gold, records downloaded directly into her neurons. Irellan Dominion conducted 22 recovery operations. 8 specimens, only one survived, me. She whispered it to no one. The truth wasn't for Vale, it was for herself. The Dominion didn't know they'd created it, the perfect feedback organism, born human but adapted. Because that battlefield where they found her, that wasn't just wreckage, it was a testing ground. One where Earth's last gene clone prototype had failed to detonate. Because she had learned something the others hadn't. Survive first, upgrade later. When she left the lab, she didn't run, she walked, and the station opened before her. The same way prey moves aside when a predator passes through the grass. She wasn't a prisoner, not anymore. She was a classified extinction class asset, and now she knew exactly who to use that on. The Irellan station, Virles 9, had housed everything from political prisoners to blacksite tech prototypes. Now it housed silence, except for one set of footsteps, bare, precise, calm. The girl ascended toward the command deck, each level brighter than the last, not because of lights, but because systems were awakening. Command staff watched in frozen disbelief. Every containment field had failed. Every failsafe looped error codes. One officer, trembling, asked, "Why can't we stop her?" The station AI responded coldly. "Subject recognized as root protocol. No permission override authorized. She outranks this installation." Another officer whispered, "What does that mean?" It meant she wasn't just inside the system. She was part of its architecture. They called the Dominion High Core, screamed for backup, demanded naval response, but the reply was hesitant. What is the subject's Earth designation? Vale, bleeding from his shoulder, gasped through a blood-soaked comm. Female, 1.75 meters, golden eyes, scarred sternum, internal foreign text signature possibly hybridized. There was silence. Then the line cut. No orders came, just a single code packet sent in reply. Genesis 0, defer. No one on the station knew what it meant. The girl did. She smiled. She reached the bridge. No one stopped her, not even the guards, because one of them collapsed when her gaze locked on him. The other dropped his weapon and turned away, ashamed to make eye contact, because every instinct told him, she doesn't see you as an enemy. She sees you as furniture. She walked straight to the command throne. Vale stumbled after her, bloody and pale. This is Dominion territory. We have rights, protocols. She turned slowly. You lost those the moment you opened me up like a cadaver. You were dead. You were wrong. Earth's signal arrived then, but not on standard frequency. It came through the emergency dreadnought override channel. The Irellans had only ever heard it once, during the Farsight anomaly when Earth's AI burned out a moon. The transmission contained only 4 words. Let her walk out. The station froze because this wasn't diplomacy. This was the final line before Terran retaliation. The Dominion had studied human behavior for decades. They feared their weapons. They respected their soldiers. But what they feared most? The things Earth buried and refused to name. She was one of them. Vale pleaded, you don't have to destroy this place. You could leave, walk free. I could. Then why stay? Because there are still files in your core AI. What do you? Files you didn't give me, logs on the others. The failed ones, the ones you tried to breed. Her eyes narrowed. Where are they? Vale broke, told her everything. The isolated blacksite moons, the failed genome backups, the Dominion's secret bioforge trials using Terran samples. All of it. She nodded once. That was all she needed. She didn't issue a threat. She just walked to the primary comm panel. No one moved. She triggered a Dominion-wide override frequency reserved for admirals and fleet captains. She looked into the camera, then she spoke. You thought you took a corpse. You took a mirror. And now everything you are will reflect what you did. She sent the files to Earth, all of them, then burned the rest from the Dominion servers. Permanently, and before she stepped off the bridge, she turned once more, to Vale, to the crew, to history. I'm not your experiment, I'm not your specimen, I'm not your enemy. But if you come for me again, I'll show you what I was designed to survive. Then she vanished. No escape pod, no signal trail, no trace. The station's logs scrambled themselves. Doors refused to record timestamps. It was as if she had never been there. But the scars remained. So did the message. And so did the fear. Because the Dominion didn't just fail to contain her. They failed to classify her. And Earth never confirmed or denied her existence. Because sometimes the worst thing you can do to your enemies is let them wonder if you ever made more. The Dominion declared lockdown across 12 sectors, fleet movements, AI surveillance, extermination orders for any unauthorized Terran biosignature. Too late. She was already gone, but what she left behind that stayed. The Dominion's High Core reviewed the data she'd sent to Earth. Their mistake wasn't just in violating Terran territory. It was waking something Earth had decommissioned on purpose. Worse, Earth hadn't even retaliated. They'd said only 4 words. Let her walk out. No orbital barrage, no diplomacy, no denial, because Earth knew something the Dominion didn't. She wasn't the revenge, she was the warning. 2 weeks later, strange signals began to appear across Irellan space. Faint, fragmented, undecipherable, all in Terran encryption. They weren't attacks, they were check-ins. On Dominion Blacksite Theta 9, a lone AI technician stared in confusion as her console activated without prompt. A dormant pod in biocontainment level C lit up. Inside, a figure sat cross-legged, No oxygen, no IVs, just glowing eyes and a scar on the sternum. Another one, she whispered. Unit 2 online. On mining station Varak Delta, an ore drill went dead. Buried beneath 60 meters of basalt, something moved, something humanoid. No heat signature, no heartbeat. It just stood up and whispered, Protocol Echo, reconstruct Earth. Then vanished through the wall. By the end of the month, 7 disappearances were reported from Deep Dominion storage facilities. Every file scrubbed, every log corrupted, every trace gone. But one phrase kept appearing in error loops. They left US behind. We remember who we are. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Siberian exclusion zone, a single technician watched encrypted signals cascade across 10 hidden satellites. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He just smiled faintly and said, "Guess she woke the others." The Dominion tried containment. They failed, tried diplomacy. They were ignored. They tried extermination. They disappeared. And then the final signal came, not from a lab, not from a battlefield, from an ancient vault on Mars, not Terran-made, older. Inside, Dominion explorers found only walls covered in Terran glyphs, symbols no one remembered how to write, except one figure. She stood in the center. Alone, golden eyes, hands coated in ash. Waiting, she said, "We're not human anymore. We're what you made trying to understand us. Now you'll understand what you made." No war was declared. There was no time. The Dominion collapsed not from battle but from fear. Their systems melted. Their fleets refused commands. Entire colonies voted to join Earth's protectorates. Why? Because Earth never attacked. They just sent them. The ones the stars forgot. The ones buried and silent. The ones Dominion called failed prototypes, and Earth called survivors. No one ever found her again. The girl who woke first. The one they thought was dead. But every Dominion outpost still has emergency protocol lights, one color, red for attack, green for normal. But now a third light appears from time to time, gold, no alarm. Just a flicker, a reminder that some things don't die, they wait.